come to the sixth and the last part of this chapter, the rise of nationalism in Europe. Till here we have seen the French Revolution, the very idea of liberty, fraternity and equality. Through this, the people, they started visualizing the idea of nation. Then after that we have seen the age of Napoleon Bonaparte, how he came as a dictator ruler and came up with the revolutionary reforms, administrative reforms. Then after Napoleon Bonaparte we have seen the age of conservatism, where they have came up with their own way of doing, where they have undo the changes that has been made by the Napoleon Bonaparte. And during the conservatism, the whole of liberal nationalism, the whole of liberals, they were underground, they were forming different societies, they were forming different clubs, started giving training to the revolutionaries. Meanwhile, the poor peasants were also unhappy, and because of this, the revolutionary got strength and they mixed and they started protesting with the poor peasants, and they started forcing the conservatism. They started forcing the conservative regimes to withdraw their power. In the way the German unification we have seen, Italian unification also we have seen, and we have understood that how the unification of United Kingdom was very different from the rest of the Europe. Here in this part 6, we'll try to understand that what was the consequences of nationalism. All were patriots, but then what happened after this? After this, the chapter, we can say the topic is the nationalism and imperialism. Here the two distinct terms that is used here, the nationalism and imperialism. Here every country wanted to gain their identity, and in the meanwhile they also wanted to expand their territory. By the late quarter of the 19th century, nationalism no longer retained its idealistic liberal democratic sentiments of the first half of the century, but become a narrow creed with limited ends. During this period, nationalist groups became increasingly intolerant to each other and ever ready to go to war. The major European powers in turn manipulated the nationalist aspirations of the subject people in Europe to further their own imperialistic aims. So here in this we can understand that how the people, how the country, how the rulers, they wanted to expand their territory, right? Even though they focused, before that we have all discussed that how they focused on their own culture, how they focus, how they give their focus on nationalism, but now their whole of attitude, the whole of idea was transformed, was changed, and they now started, we can say, started extending, started acquiring new territories. They wanted to acquire new territories, they started expanding territories, and this kind of attitude, this kind of imperialistic attitude led the whole world into a new crisis, that is the World War I. The spread of the idea of romantic nationalism in the Balkans became very significant here, because Balkans becomes a breeding ground for all rivals, we can say. Every powerful country wanted to take over control on Balkans, because earlier it was under the we can say Ottoman Empire, and after the disintegration of the Ottoman Empire, Balkan was free from any ruler, and then every powerful country wanted to take over the Balkans region, and because of that, this whole of situation lead the world into a new destruction, right, which we called as World War I. So here is the last point I'm reading for you. It's just for the reference, the anti-imperial movement that developed everywhere were nationalists in sense that they all struggled to learn independent nation states and were inspired by the sense of collective national identity. Forced in confrontation with imperialism, European ideas of nationalism were nowhere replicated, for people everywhere developed their own specific variety of nationalism. But the idea that societies should be organized into a nation states came to be accepted as natural and universal. So this is it from my side. This is the whole thing, the whole chapter that we have all discussed. This picture shows different culture, different nation. With this picture, I'm ending the whole chapter. Thank you very much.